At some point, every new leader faces the same challenge: giving feedback. Perhaps something in the team's work is not functioning as well as it could. Perhaps expectations are unclear. Or perhaps someone needs support in adjusting how they approach their tasks. For many new leaders, these conversations can feel uncomfortable. They may worry that giving feedback too early will damage relationships or create tension within the team. But avoiding feedback rarely improves the situation. In fact, constructive feedback is one of the most important tools leaders have for building both performance and trust. Many people associate feedback with criticism. When feedback is delivered poorly, this perception can easily become reality. Effective leadership feedback, however, has a different purpose. It is not about pointing out mistakes. It is about helping people improve and succeed. When leaders approach feedback as a form of support rather than judgment, the tone of the conversation changes. Instead of focusing on what someone did wrong, the focus shifts to what could work better and why it matters for the team. For example, a leader might say, "I'd like to share an observation that might help us work more effectively together." This simple framing makes it clear that the goal is improvement, not blame. One of the most common mistakes leaders make when giving feedback is being too vague. Statements such as, "You need to communicate better," or "That meeting didn't go well," may express dissatisfaction, but they do not help the other person understand what should change. Constructive feedback is specific and concrete. For instance, in yesterday's meeting, several people seemed unsure about the next steps. It might help if we summarize the key decisions at the end of the meeting. This type of feedback gives the other person something clear and actionable. Timing also matters. Some leaders hesitate because they hope the situation will improve on its own. However, delaying feedback often allows small issues to grow into larger problems. When feedback is given early, the conversation remains constructive and manageable. Small adjustments are easier to accept than major corrections later on. Early feedback also prevents frustration from building silently within the team. Feedback should not only appear when something goes wrong. Recognizing positive contributions is equally important. When leaders acknowledge what is working well, they reinforce the behaviors and attitudes they want to see more of. For example, "I appreciated how you handled the client discussion earlier today. You helped clarify the situation for everyone." Positive feedback strengthens confidence and motivation. Teams that only receive criticism may lose energy over time, while teams that experience balanced feedback stay engaged. Constructive feedback works best when it becomes a dialogue rather than a one-sided message. Leaders should focus on the situation rather than judging the person. Describe what you observed and explain why it matters. Then, invite the other person to share their perspective. Questions such as, "What was your experience in that situation?" Or, "What do you think might work better next time?" These questions signal respect and encourage reflection. When feedback becomes a conversation, people are far more willing to engage. For new leaders, giving feedback can feel uncomfortable at first. But when delivered clearly, respectfully, and with the intention to support improvement, it becomes a powerful tool. It helps people develop skills, strengthens team performance, and builds clarity about expectations. In this way, feedback does not weaken relationships. Done well, it strengthens them. Leadership is not about avoiding difficult conversations. It is about helping people and teams grow.